The hydroponics bay of Station Kepler 438b hummed with the steady rhythm of water recyclers when Anna first saw them. Through the reinforced glass steel viewport, she watched as the battered escape pod drifted toward the docking bay, its hull scarred with what looked like ceremonial markings, the kind that spoke of exile rather than honor. Riza Chen wiped grease from his hands with a worn rag, his weathered face creased with concern as the automated systems guided the pod into the bay. 23 years of fixing broken things in the outer rim had taught him to recognize desperation when he saw it, and this pod reeked of it. The hatch hissed open with a sound like escaping dreams, and what emerged defied every xenobiology manual in the station's database. The female was tall, graceful in the way that water dwellers moved, with scales that shifted between deep blue and silver in the artificial light. Her lower body tapered into something between fins and legs, adaptable appendages that could navigate both land and sea. 4 smaller versions of herself clung to her sides, their large eyes wide with fear and wonder. "Please," she spoke in accented standard, her voice carrying the musical quality of her species. "We seek sanctuary. I am Thalandra of the Abyssal Courts. These are my daughters." The other station workers had gathered at a safe distance, whispering among themselves. Humans, Centaurians, even a few Rigelians, all keeping their distance from the refugees. The universal translator struggled with some of her words, but the meaning was clear enough. Political exile, dangerous associations, the kind of trouble that station administrators preferred to jettison into the void. Riza stepped forward, his boots clicking against the metal decking. "I'm Riza Chen, station mechanic. You look like you've had a rough journey." Thalandra's membranous gills fluttered, a sign of distress that Riza somehow understood without needing translation. "My mate." He opposed the Warsinger's expansion into the neutral zones. They declared him a traitor to the deep currents. When he died defending a colony world, they branded us as cursed, banished us from all waters of the home system. The 4 young ones pressed closer to their mother. The eldest couldn't have been more than 12 by human standards, while the youngest was barely old enough to form coherent sentences. Their scales were duller than their mother's, a sign of malnutrition and stress. "Can't have aquatic species just floating around the station," muttered Administrator Valdez from behind the safety of the observation deck. "They'll need specialized life support modified quarters. The insurance liability alone." "They'll stay with me," Riza announced, loud enough for everyone to hear. His words cut through the administrator's complaints like a plasma cutter through hull plating. Anna stepped up beside him, her hand finding his arm. She had worked with Riza long enough to recognize that particular tone, the one that meant he'd already made up his mind about something. Consequences be damned. "Riza, we don't have aquatic facilities," she said quietly. "And the bureaucratic nightmare. Then we'll build them," he replied. "Hydroponics bay connects to the old mining section. Plenty of space down there, and I can reroute the water systems. Won't take more than a week." Thalandra looked between them, her large eyes reflecting a confusion that transcended species barriers. "You would do this? For strangers? For exiles?" Riza crouched down to the level of the youngest child, whose scales shimmered with an almost bioluminescent quality. She peered at him through webbed fingers, curiosity overcoming fear. "On Earth we have a saying," he told Thalandra. "The ocean doesn't ask where the rivers come from before it welcomes them home. Everyone deserves a safe harbor." The little one reached out with tiny webbed fingers to touch Riza's calloused hand. Where their skin made contact, her scales brightened, and for the first time since their arrival she made a sound. A melodic chirp that her mother later explained was laughter. Administrator Valdez was already on his comm, no doubt filing reports about unauthorized asylum grants and insurance violations. The other workers were dispersing, some shaking their heads at human foolishness, others wearing expressions that suggested grudging admiration. "You'll need to register them properly," Anna said, her practical mind already working through the logistics. "Work permits for the mother, educational provisions for the children, and Thalandra will need a human sponsor for the paperwork." "Already handled," Riza said with a slight grin. "I've got salvage rights to 3 sections of the mining level. Technically makes me a property owner with sponsorship privileges." Over the following weeks, Riza worked 16-hour shifts converting the abandoned mining section into a proper aquatic habitat. The old excavation pools, once used for extracting ice from asteroids, were perfect for Thalandra's people. Anna handled the bureaucratic maze, filing forms and bribing clerks with genuine coffee, a luxury in the Outer Rim. Thalandra proved invaluable in ways no one had anticipated. Her people's bioengineering knowledge revolutionized the station's water reclamation systems, increasing efficiency by 30%. Her daughters, once they adjusted to the strange new environment, became ambassadors of sorts, their natural curiosity and joy infectious among the station's children. The eldest daughter, Lyrantha, showed an aptitude for mechanical systems that impressed even Riza. She could slip through maintenance conduits too narrow for humans, her streamlined form perfect for repairs in tight spaces. The younger ones delighted in the zero-gravity recreational areas, their natural three-dimensional thinking, making them better at navigating weightless environments than most species. 3 months after their arrival, Thalandra found Riza in his workshop, surrounded by the familiar chaos of disassembled machinery and half-finished projects. She moved with the fluid grace of her people, but there was something different about her now. A strength that hadn't been there when she first emerged from that battered escape pod. "The War Singers have issued a bounty," she said without preamble. "My people's embassy sent word through back channels. They want us returned for questioning." Riza looked up from the drive core he was rebuilding. "What's the number?" 50,000 credits each. He whistled low. "That's serious money. Could buy a nice ship with that kind of credit." For a moment, fear flickered in Thalandra's large eyes. Then Riza smiled that same smile he'd worn the day she arrived. "Good thing I never learned to count that high. Always was terrible with numbers." Anna appeared in the workshop doorway as if summoned by the conversation. In her hands was a data pad showing docking manifests and shipping schedules. "Funny thing about the Outer Rim," she said conversationally. "Communication arrays go down all the time. Solar interference, equipment failures, bureaucratic incompetence. Amazing how long it can take for certain kinds of information to reach the right people." Thalandra looked between them, understanding dawning in her expression. "You would defy your own species' authorities. Risk your livelihoods? Your safety? Wouldn't be the first time humans told authority figures where they could shove their demands," Riza said, returning to his work. "Besides, you're not strangers anymore. You're neighbors, and humans have a bad habit of protecting their own." That evening, in the converted aquatic section that had become home, Thalandra floated in the bioluminescent pools while her daughters played in the shallows. The water here didn't sing with the ancient songs of her homeworld, but it carried something else. The sound of laughter, of hope, of a future she had thought lost forever. Above them, through the transparent aluminum viewports, the stars wheeled in their eternal dance. Some of those points of light represented worlds that would hunt them, authorities that would see them return to face whatever justice the War Singers deemed appropriate. But this place, this impossible sanctuary built by human stubbornness and compassion, was safe. Here in the depths of space they had found their harbor. "You are safe here now," Riza had said on that first day, and Thalandra was finally beginning to believe it might be true.